Ian Clary, studying the works and words of John Calvin, offers this title perhaps directly to you: Ill-Advised Zeal for Righteousness. Does that describe you? Hey, we've got to have a high view of the Word. Excellent. Hey, we have to have a high view of God. Sensational. Hey, we have to have a high view of ecclesiology. Outstanding. But do you have ill-advised zeal? Are you too quick to judge and too quick to skedaddle from your local church because they don't meet up to your standard, your zeal for righteousness? I got to confess to you, I read this article and it was like, ooh, wow, this is kind of biting, because it warns those of us who have very high views of the Word, high views of God and the church. We have a tendency to get pretty critical and maybe have a desire to just find a place that does it just right. And we can become church shoppers, church boppers, just deep, beep, beep, all over the place. And John Calvin says, not so fast. From the article, we must not thoughtlessly forsake the church because of any petty dissensions. Instead, Calvin urges the members of a church to publicly work for its encouragement and unity, and argues that, quote, we are neither to renounce the communication of the church, nor remaining in it to disturb its peace and duly order discipline. Calvin is pointing a finger perhaps at you and me and saying, hey, if your church is preaching the Word, there's no heresy going on, they're administering the sacraments, there's church discipline, stay put, and while you're there, don't cause trouble. Does that mean we can't work toward betterment? Yeah, we should all be doing that all the time. But working toward betterment and perhaps carping, crabbing, gossiping, backbiting the pastor, the elders, the organist, everybody, that is a very big no-no. Why? Why is this such a big deal? It is because it is a big deal to God. How patient is God with you? Like really patient? Because I know He's super patient with me. He should smite me on the spot this second, but He doesn't. He lets me live. He lets me stumble. He lets me fall. He lets me be a complete dork. He lets me make bad decisions. He even lets me sin. God does that for you. He does that for me. But when it comes to our relationship with the local church, we do not act like God when we insist everybody has to have this thing right. I've got no patience. There is zero tolerance for your shortcomings. God forgives me a lot. Oh yeah, He's patient with me, but I'm not patient with thee. That is a major problem and a massive temptation for those of us with high views of theology and God and the church and the Word, that we don't become impatient people who expect perfection and offer no patience, no gentleness for those that just aren't doing it the way that we think that it should be done. What does that tell the world? That we are petty people and that we don't represent God well, who is exceedingly patient. More from John Calvin. That means that as Christians, we are to actively engage in practices that will foster unity. And if we have problems with certain aspects of our churches, we should not disturb peace and order in expressing them. We should be about the business of fostering unity. Please note, that is different than fixing the place. Fostering unity is a starkly different approach than just making everything better at your church. Consider the attitude behind each. When you just want to fix the place, how patient are you? How annoyed do you get? How kind and loving are you when it comes to correcting something that needs some fixing at your church? It's probably not very godly. Contrast that to, I want to foster unity. I want people to enjoy the best of God and His Word. And I want to do it in such a way that we can do it, argue about these things, debate these issues, and then go to the Cracker Barrel together when we're done. What's the difference? I love my brothers and sisters. I've definitely got opinions on issues, but I recognize I'm not God. There's a shocker, and they've got opinions too. So we're going to get together to foster unity and come up with the best way to do church business together. Do you feel the difference? More from our article, The Holier Than Thou Schismatic Sins, in that they do not know how to restrain their disfavor. They neglect kindness and are given over to immoderate severity. If there is not perfect purity, there's no church, and so skedaddle they go, fancying themselves to have left the faction of the wicked. Note, those are quotes from John Calvin, who warred for the purity of the church. What did Calvin perhaps know that you and I don't? Perhaps we have been dulled by a cliche. Hey, there's no perfect church. And if you find one and join it, you're going to wreck it because you're not perfect. And we go, yeah, that's true. Calvin got that. He knew that. Church, it is composed and comprised of sinners. It isn't perfect. There are considerations. Decisions regularly need to be done in a pastoral way. There are souls at stake. There are wounded saints. There are things that need to be done wisely, perhaps sometimes, not always, sometimes slowly, carefully, thoughtfully, lovingly. Calvin got that. Do we? Hey, I'm Todd. I'm going to be your Uber driver. What's your destination?
2054 Kemple Lane.
No. Your eternal destination. The liberals, they brought in Pelagianism. It's the old Sabellian heresy, denying the Trinitarian Godhead. 3 persons, 1 God, not to the Sabellians. No. They would say that it's actually just 1 God.
Please, somebody!